The fork slipped from my hand before I even realized I was gripping it too hard. No one looked at me. That was the first thing. Not surprise. Not concern. Not even irritation. Just a strange kind of stillness. My mother kept cutting her food into neat little pieces. My father reached for his glass like nothing had happened. My brother glanced down at his phone and smiled at something on the screen. I remember the sound more than anything else. The fork hitting the plate. A sharp little crack in an otherwise normal room. I said I was sorry. No one answered. Then my father laughed, softly, like I had confirmed something he had believed for years. And my mother said, without looking up, "Some people are just born to embarrass everyone around them." I looked at my brother. He still didn't raise his head. That's when I realized something was very wrong. My name is Daniel, and by the time that dinner happened, I had already spent most of my adult life being the disappointing one. Not the criminal. Not the addict. Nothing dramatic like that. Just the one they spoke about with that tired, polished kind of shame people use when they want to sound concerned but really mean inferior. I worked from home. Design, licensing, a little brand development. Quiet work. Good money when it came in, uneven when it didn't. The kind of work older relatives dismiss because there is no uniform, no office, no title they can brag about to neighbors. My younger brother, Aaron, was the opposite. Clean career. Clean image. Finance. Loud confidence. My parents understood him because he looked successful in ways they could recognize. Suit. Watch. Firm handshake. He knew how to perform certainty. They loved that. That week had already felt off before the dinner. Small things at first. My mother called twice in one day, which she never did unless she needed something. The first call was strangely sweet. The second was colder, almost scripted. My father sent me a message asking whether I was finally serious about the future, which was not how he normally talked unless someone had been discussing me behind the scenes. Then Aaron texted me out of nowhere. "You coming Friday? Mom's making your favorite." He never sent messages like that. If he needed something, he asked directly. If he didn't, he left me alone. I stared at that text longer than I should have. By then, my routine had become steady enough that I noticed any disruption immediately. I woke up around 6:30, made coffee, checked overnight emails from clients in Europe, reviewed one licensing contract, then spent the afternoon revising a packaging concept for a skincare company in Dubai. It was a normal workday. Productive. Quiet. Nothing to match the strange feeling sitting at the back of my mind. Still, I drove over Friday night. I told myself I was imagining things. Families are awkward. Parents compare children. People say stupid things at dinner. None of that meant anything serious. But even before we sat down, I noticed the room. My father was too cheerful. My mother kept watching me when she thought I wouldn't see it. Aaron was relaxed in a way that felt rehearsed, almost like he had already seen the ending of something and was waiting for everyone else to catch up. Then the comments started. "Little ones. You still doing those online projects? That income stable yet? You know, at your age, most men think about long-term security." All of it delivered with smiles. Casual enough to deny later. Sharp enough to land. I answered politely at first. Kept my voice level. Ate slowly. Let them talk. Then my father said, "Aaron's making real moves now. Condo, investments, partnerships. That's what happens when someone builds an actual career." My mother nodded. Some people waste years pretending. Aaron didn't interrupt her. He sipped his drink and looked at me like he was waiting to see whether I would finally break and give them the scene they wanted. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not anger. Clarity. Because it wasn't random. It wasn't family tension. It wasn't one bad dinner. It was coordinated. And when Aaron's phone lit up beside his plate, he grabbed it too fast. Just for a second, I saw a preview on the lock screen. A document icon. And beneath it, words I recognized instantly because they should never have been anywhere near his phone. My full legal name. I said nothing. A minute later, my mother started talking about trust, about responsibility, about family helping family. My father added that some assets were safer under experienced hands. Assets. Experienced hands. I kept my face still, but my mind had already moved ahead of the table. They were not insulting me because they looked down on me. They were trying to soften me up for something. And whatever it was, Aaron already had a head start. So I stopped reacting. And I started watching. I didn't confront them that night. I finished my meal, thanked my mother, and left early. No argument. No visible reaction. That seemed to disappoint them more than anything else. Aaron walked me to the door. "Don't overthink it," he said, almost casually. I nodded like I believed him. Then I went home and opened my laptop. The first thing I did was something I should have done weeks earlier. I checked my shared accounts. Not the obvious ones. Those were clean. I went deeper. Cloud storage. Old document backups. Archived folders I hadn't touched in months. At first, everything looked normal. Then I found a login from a device I didn't recognize. 2 days earlier. Location, same city. Same neighborhood as my parents' house. I didn't panic. I just kept moving. I pulled the access logs. Download history. File activity. One folder stood out. Estate_planning_drafts. I opened it. Inside were documents I had never shared with anyone. Early drafts, yes. But also updated versions that I had finalized weeks ago. Financial summaries. Asset allocations. Licensing revenue projections. All tied to my name. I sat back and read everything slowly. Files had been opened. Downloaded. Copied. More than once. Then I checked something else. The document history. Someone had accessed them from a secondary device and saved local copies. I already knew whose device it was. But I didn't assume. I verified. I checked my email recovery settings. Unchanged. Then I checked something most people ignore. Account recovery access history. A second email had been briefly linked, then removed. It wasn't mine. It was Aaron's. I didn't react. I took screenshots. Saved logs. Downloaded activity reports. Then I did something simple. I opened my phone and went back to that moment at dinner. The way he grabbed his phone. The document preview. I checked something I hadn't thought about before. My own document sharing settings. One link had been created. Not by me. Temporary access. Active for 72 hours. And it had expired the night before. Someone had generated a private link to my financial documents. Sent it. Downloaded everything. Then removed the trace. Except they missed one thing. The activity log. I followed the trail. The access request had originated from my email, but triggered from a known device. Aaron's laptop. I didn't stop there. I opened my bank notifications. No transactions. No withdrawals. But there were 2 inquiries. Internal. Preliminary. Someone had tried to initiate an advisory transfer request. Not completed. Just tested. The account details used for the inquiry didn't belong to me. They belonged to a firm Aaron had mentioned months ago. A partnership opportunity. I sat there for a long time, not moving. Not because I was shocked. But because everything finally made sense. The dinner. The tone. The coordinated comments. They weren't judging me. They were positioning me. Softening me. Preparing me to agree. To sign something. To trust family. I opened one last file. A PDF I hadn't noticed before. It was labeled clearly. Asset Transition Proposal. I read it once. Then again. It was structured like a family agreement. Temporary management of my income streams. Centralized under Aaron's oversight. Framed as support. Stability. Long-term planning. My name was already typed in. There was a blank space for my signature. I didn't feel anger. I felt something colder. Because it wasn't just him. My parents had to know. No one writes something like that alone and brings it to dinner as a surprise. This had been discussed. Planned. Agreed. I closed the file. Then I opened a new folder. And I started saving everything. Logs. Screenshots. Copies of the documents. Access records. Time stamps. I didn't rush. I didn't skip anything. Every piece of evidence went into that folder. Organized. Labeled. Backed up. Then I created a second copy. And a third. Different locations. Different accounts. No single point of failure. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. Come for dinner Sunday. We need to talk properly. I looked at the screen for a few seconds. Then I typed one word. Okay. I put the phone down. Because by then, I understood something clearly. This wasn't about a misunderstanding. It wasn't about family pressure. It was an attempt. Clean. Quiet. Structured. And they thought I hadn't noticed. I leaned back in my chair and looked at the folder on my screen. Every detail was there. Every step they took. Every trace they thought they erased. Confronting them would have ruined everything. I didn't touch the folder the next morning. Not because I was unsure. Because I didn't need to rush. People make mistakes when they move too quickly. Especially when they think they're reacting to something emotional. This wasn't emotional anymore. It was procedural. I started with something simple. I changed nothing visible. Same routines. Same replies. Same tone. If they were watching, I wanted them to see exactly what they expected. Unaware. Passive. Still behind. Then I began securing everything. All primary accounts moved to new authentication layers. Not obvious ones. No alerts that would raise suspicion. Just quiet changes in access pathways. I rotated credentials. Removed recovery links. Added silent notifications that only I could see. Then I duplicated the evidence again. Offline this time. Encrypted. Stored outside any system connected to my name. By the afternoon, the information was no longer vulnerable. That was step 1. Step 2 was verification. Not of what happened. Of what could happen next. I reviewed the asset transition proposal again. Carefully. Line by line. The language was deliberate. Temporary control. Advisory authority. Operational oversight. All phrased in a way that sounded reversible. But legally, it wasn't clean. There were clauses buried in the middle that allowed discretionary decision-making once authority was granted. Which meant once signed, it wouldn't be temporary. It would be structural. I noted every section. Every phrase that could be challenged. Then I contacted someone I hadn't spoken to in years. A corporate lawyer I had worked with during one of my earlier licensing deals. I didn't send everything at once. Just the document. No explanation. Within 2 hours, he replied. Where did you get this? I called him. Kept it simple. This was prepared for me to sign. There was a pause. Then he said, don't sign anything. And don't discuss this with them. I didn't. Instead, I sent him the rest. Logs. Access history. Download traces. The recovery email link. Everything. He went quiet again. Longer this time. When he came back, his tone had changed. Whoever did this tried to keep it clean, he said. But this crosses into unauthorized access. Possibly intent to misappropriate assets. I didn't respond immediately. I let him continue. If they push you to sign anything, that's escalation, he added. But even without that, what you've shown is already enough to raise legal concerns. I asked one question. What do I do next? He didn't hesitate. Let them think you don't know. Attend the meeting. Don't agree to anything. And if possible, get them to present the document themselves. I understood. Not confrontation. Confirmation. I ended the call and sat still for a few minutes. Then I made one more move. Quiet. Necessary. I contacted my bank's advisory department. Not a complaint. Not a report. Just a precaution. I informed them that any transfer, restructuring, or third-party advisory request involving my accounts required in-person verification and direct confirmation from me. No exceptions. They flagged the account. Subtle. No external alerts. But any attempt would now be stopped. By evening, everything was in place. Evidence secured. Legal review initiated. Financial safeguards active. The only thing left was Sunday. That night, Aaron sent me another message. Don't forget tomorrow. It's important. I read it once. Then locked my phone. Because I already knew how it would go. They would sit me down. Present concern. Frame it as support. Position Aaron as the solution. And wait for me to agree. They believed they had prepared everything. They believed I had nothing. And that was the only reason this would work. Sunday came quietly. I arrived on time. Same house. Same table. Same people. But this time, I wasn't there to listen. I was there to confirm. My mother poured tea. My father leaned back in his chair like he had already won. Aaron placed a folder on the table. Neatly aligned. Exactly where I could see it. I didn't reach for it. I just looked at him. He smiled. Let's talk about your future, he said. I nodded slowly. Calm. Neutral. Waiting. They thought it was just another day. It wasn't. Aaron slid the folder toward me. Not aggressively. Not dramatically. Just enough to signal control. This is just a structure, he said. To help you stabilize things. My mother nodded. We're thinking long term. For you. My father added, you don't have the experience to manage everything alone. I didn't interrupt. I opened the folder. The same document. Same wording. Same clean formatting. Only now, printed. Prepared. Final. There was a pen placed neatly beside it. I read the first page slowly. Not because I needed to. Because I wanted them to watch me read it. To feel confident. To settle into the version of the story they believed. I turned the page. Then the next. Silence stretched across the table. Aaron leaned forward slightly. It's straightforward, he said. Temporary management. I'll handle things until you're more stable. I looked at him. More stable. He smiled, like it was obvious. You know what I mean. I closed the folder gently. Then I placed both hands on the table. Still calm. Still controlled. I have a question, I said. My father exhaled, already impatient. If it's about details, Aaron can explain. It's not about details, I said quietly. They stopped. I looked at Aaron. When did you access my documents? The room shifted. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just enough. Aaron didn't answer immediately. He leaned back instead. Confident. Relaxed. I don't know what you mean. I nodded once. Then I reached into my bag and placed my laptop on the table. No rush. No tension. Just a simple movement. I opened it. Turned the screen toward them. And clicked one folder. The logs appeared first. Access timestamps. Device IDs. Download records. No commentary. Just data. My mother frowned slightly, trying to understand. My father's expression tightened. Aaron didn't move. I clicked the next file. Account recovery history. The temporary email link. His email. Added. Removed. Time-stamped. Then I opened the document activity report. The exact file he had printed in front of me. Accessed. Downloaded. Copied. From his device. Silence. Real silence this time. Not the polite kind. The kind that forces people to choose what to say next. My father spoke first. There must be some misunderstanding. There isn't, I said. Still calm. Still steady. I closed the laptop. Then I spoke again. I've already had this reviewed. Aaron's posture changed slightly. Not panic. Just calculation. Reviewed by who, he asked. A lawyer. That was the first moment something actually broke. Not loudly, but visibly. My mother looked at Aaron. My father's jaw tightened. Aaron didn't speak, so I continued. I also informed my bank. Any transfer or advisory change now requires direct confirmation from me. I paused. Let it settle. No one can move anything. My father leaned forward. You're overreacting. This was for your benefit. I met his eyes. No, I said quietly. It wasn't. Then I stood up. No sudden movement. No anger. Just a decision. I'm not signing anything. Aaron finally spoke. You're making a mistake. I picked up the folder. Closed it. Placed it back in front of him. No, I said. You did. There was nothing else to add. No speech. No accusations. Everything that mattered was already on the table. Evidence. Process. Protection. I walked to the door. No one followed. No one tried to stop me. Because they understood something now that they hadn't before. This wasn't a discussion. It was finished. In the weeks that followed, things changed quietly. Aaron stopped contacting me. My parents shifted their tone. Careful. Controlled. Distant. No apologies. Just absence. My lawyer handled the rest. Formal notices. Boundaries. Nothing aggressive. Just enough to make sure it wouldn't happen again. I didn't celebrate. There was no moment of victory. Just space. And for the first time in a long time, silence that wasn't heavy. That night, everything was quiet.